Hello and welcome to the STCfit Learning Podcast. I'll be your host today. My name's Ben Scott. I'll be joined by Jason Galea. Thanks for joining us on our way to create 1 million positive outcomes for personal training clients by 2030. The podcast is brought to you by @STCfit Learning, a page created to upskill and educate PTs and gym nerds. Also brought to you by @STCfit, and that's a place for all your online and in-person personal training needs. If you enjoyed today's episodes, please give us a share and tag on the Instawebs. You can tag @STCfit, @STCfit Learning, @BenScottSC, and @JasonGalea PC. Hope you enjoy the show.
How much of the swinging can you hear, Tam?
I can't hear it in my
Yeah, I can't hear it.
Oh, it's great. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm about to pick up the frequency of it.
It's a good chair, isn't it?
This is for something that's
have
been
you
found.
reclined it yet?
Well, this is about as far as I'm prepared to
Well,
go.
there's a little handle out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see how long this goes.
That does make some noise.
Yeah.
But like I said, for a chair I found on the side of the
This
road,
is
up the road
epic.
from my house, it
Yeah,
goes
It's
pretty
got the perfect amount of rock to it.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I've had some good fucking naps on that.
Are we rolling cameras as well? We're all good.
All good to go?
We're live.
Awesome.
So we are here with John Sherro Sheridan. I was thinking about like that intro. It's like I wish I had that kind of name.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Ben Scotty Scott. It's like that's not it. That's lame. And like
If it helps, all of my family is Sherro. Like my dad was Sherro, my mom
Yeah.
was Sherro. Like
yeah.
everyone gets that. So people used to ring at my house and be like, "Oh, can I speak to Sherro?" My dad would be like, "Speaking."
Which one? Yeah,
Yeah.
we're the same. My dad's one of 10, and it's like you say Scotty around
Yeah.
like the football club from home,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like 15 people turn around like, which one?
Yeah.
That one.
Mine's magnified because my dad's John as well.
Oh
And
shit!
Yeah,
even
right.
worse is so is my girlfriend's dad. There's a lot of Johns in my
Yeah,
family.
there's a lot of
It
overlap.
gets confusing.
Yeah. So we're at Burley Strength on site in Canberra. We survived the drive yesterday. She wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it was easy.
Did you
Yeah.
drive from Sydney's fucking nothing?
Nah, we
Sydney?
drove from
Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
Melbourne's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Melbourne's
it's
much easier than it used to be.
Long and straight.
Yeah.
I think my record was like 6.5 hours from Canberra to Melbourne. I got some good speeding buddies that day.
You tuck in and do
Yeah,
the
yeah,
tail.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was the best.
Yeah. We were pretty well behaved.
Yeah, we did all right.
We know like 4 million speed cameras on the way into Canberra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a
Same.
Summer Nats thing or is that
Well,
a?
yeah. I mean, there's 50% of Canberra hates Summer Nats.
I
And then
imagine so.
There's
yeah.
a small portion that love it.
Yeah.
I live in the inner north, just like close enough to hear and smell Summer Nats, and
Yeah.
I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
right.
We normally try and go away when Summer
Yeah.
Nats comes into town.
Yeah.
Because it's just a bit shit.
We used to have. I grew up in Sheridan, which was like they used to have spring nuts, which is
Yeah.
like baby summer nuts.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like you kind of debut your car there,
Yeah.
make sure it works, and then go to summer nuts. And it was always like having people talking about. I was like, don't take your children, don't take your wife, just
Yeah.
Dude,
it's-
so where the gym is in Fyshwick is home to two kinds of businesses that are open after 6 p.m. One of them is gyms and the other one is brothels. There are, at last count, I think there are like 5 or 6 brothels on this street.
Jesus.
Wow.
At least 2 strip clubs. One's defunct. There's one strip club. You'll see it when you drive out. You'll know for sure. There's big concrete lines out the front. But I've had a few interesting experiences on either end of the Summer Nats weekend. Like
Yeah.
I've driven in this year, and there was one up the road advertising that they were open 24/7 on like a giant electric sign. And then a few years ago, I was driving into work on the Monday morning because apparently Summer Nats is the biggest brothel weekend in the country.
I bet.
People fly in from all over the country to work
Jeez.
the weekend, apparently.
Wow.
And so I was driving to work Monday morning, like 5:30 in the morning. I watched these 2 women outside one of the brothels in like long silk robes in the car park playing badminton. I was like, that's how you know Summer Nats weekend is finished.
Yeah.
They had nothing to do. They're out the front just knocking the shuttlecock around. Fyshwick's an interesting place.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
We're staying in Campbell.
Yeah.
Campbell,
It's
Yeah.
not-
So I live
not
just a
bad
little bit
spot.
north of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice in there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
Man, Canberra's the best. I wouldn't live anywhere else.
Yeah.
Born in Canberra. I'd live in Melbourne maybe because Melbourne's like a really big version of Canberra in some ways. But I fucking love it here.
Good
It's the
coffee.
best.
Yeah.
The best.
That was unreal.
Yeah.
Hot cross bun was
Shout out to, was it 3 Mills?
3 Mills, yeah.
Yeah. Unreal.
3 meals are excellent.
Ever in Canberra, go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good at what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess like as every podcast, we need to do the who are you part.
Yes.
How you got here part. So I know started off like as a lifter, moved into running gyms. So just give us a spiel of.
Yeah. So I am currently 33. I did my first powerlifting comp in 2010. Before that, or at the time, I was playing rugby. Grew up playing rugby union through high school. Got into lifting in high school because I wanted to be better at footy because I was just a fat kid who wasn't very good at footy. And kind of fell in love with that. Loved playing footy and still would if I had more time. But there was a moment I broke my hand punching someone in the face on the rugby field. I'd like to say it was like a really nice punch and knocked him out, but I didn't. It's just a bad punch, broke my hand. But it's the punch that started all of this because that was at a point where I'd sort of discovered powerlifting as a thing and was getting heavily into training. So I was like, I'll take the rest of the year off because I can't play anyway. I'll train for a powerlifting meet and then I'll go back next year and play footy. And I never went back.
Awesome.
Did my first powerlifting meet in 2010. Competed at Pro Roll 1 because I just sort of happened to be it was the Oz Bodybuilding Forum where things like PTC were born. And then in 2013, I was approached by Trent, the guy that owned PTC Sydney, to open a gym here in Canberra. He wanted to open PTC Canberra and wanted me to run it. At the time, I was working as a PT, initially in like a small, semi-private gym that is relatively well known in Canberra, who fired my ass because I didn't really fit their mold, which is fair enough. Then I worked for another PT company who went defunct eventually, and then we opened PTC Canberra. I essentially managed it, but always sort of ran it as my own thing because my intention, and I'd said to Trent from day one, my intent was always to buy him out eventually and take over. It happened a bit quicker than I thought it would. About a year and a half in, he was like, end of the year, I want to get out. It's like, all right, well, fuck, I'll make this work. And I said yes before I talked to my girlfriend about it, which in hindsight maybe wasn't the best decision, but we made it through. And so, then I wanted to be able to essentially differentiate it as my thing as opposed to part of something else. So we became Burley Strength at the start of 2016. Yep. And as I was saying to you guys, we moved here in September 2016, and we've been here since.
Was that an agreement at the start when you kind of came in that you were going to take over the gym? And
the intention, I had voiced that as an intention all along. And it happened on a timescale that was quicker than I was expecting it to. Yeah. But I was never going to say no.
Definitely.
I was never in a position to say no. I
think that helps heaps. When you know one day it's going to be yours.
Yeah. Because I essentially treated it as mine from day one. And got to make all those decisions and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah. So I competed in powerlifting. I think I did my last comp in 2016, 17. Yep. Somewhere around there. Haven't competed in powerlifting for a while and have no real desire to go back. Did a lot of equip lifting. That was sort of my main thing. I got pretty good at that. And now I just coach. And
what were your biggest numbers?
Squatted 410. I benched 210. And my best comp deadlift was 265, I think. Yep. Somewhere around there. I think I'm still one of only a couple of people in the country to have squatted over 400 in 2 weight classes. Which is cool. But that feels like a lifetime ago. Yeah. I feel like that was a different person to the person that I am today. Yeah. And I have no fucking desire to go back to that. It was fun and I loved it and I lived for it, but I've moved on.
Yeah. I said to you at the start, that's probably the main theme of today is unpacking that as well. Because for selfish reasons, because I'm going through the same things. Did my maybe last meet, not sure. I'm still saying I'm coming back, you in the football thing. I'm coming back, we'll see. Yeah. And it was my thing was always to pull 300. So I pulled 260, missed 270 last comp. Yeah. It's to do what I need to do it. It's is it still there?
Yeah, man.
Is still there?
When I properly got into powerlifting, I wanted to squat 1,000 pounds. That was my thing. No one in Australia had done it at that point. Mm-hmm. I was the first to attempt it. I had the biggest miss in Australia for a while. That was my claim to fame. Biggest squat miss in the country. I think I've missed 455 like half a dozen times, something like that. And so I was, just like chasing that. That was the thing. I didn't care about anything else. And never got there. Like got to 900, 410s, 900.
Yep.
Which was cool. But it was at that point, so that was 2015, and then we took over in 2016. And it turns out owning a gym is probably the worst decision you could make for your training.
Yeah.
Despite what a lot of people would think.
Yeah.
And then, man, I spent a couple of years being pretty fucking, not miserable, but certainly not in the physical state that I was, and got pretty out of shape and just wasn't training hard. Like I didn't have anything to train for anymore. Yeah. It felt like a chore, and it's only in hindsight that I can look back and go, well, the problem for me was always that like training was, I hate saying training was my therapy because it's not fucking therapy, because if I need therapy, I'll go to a fucking therapist. But it was therapeutic. Right? Like I've been an athlete my whole life. Like I've played sport my whole life, and training was just that thing that I did, and it was the thing that I was super passionate about, and then I turned it into my career, and suddenly I didn't get the cathartic benefit that I was getting from it because it's in my workplace. Like the hardest thing in the world is to walk out of that office into here and train.
Yeah.
Which is why now I know that of myself, and I train first thing in the morning. Like the first thing I do is I get here and I don't do any work. I train and then I go home. Yeah. And then I come back and work. Because that being able to create that divide is what has helped me find the passion for it again.
To lift,
But like I'm at 33, I've been lifting weights since I was 14. So I'm approaching 20 years of training experience, and I've gone months and months without training, and all the while owning a gym and being in a gym 6 days a week. And it's actually like, again, in hindsight, I can look back and say that it's actually the 2 lockdowns we had in Canberra, I think saved me. I think if we hadn't had that at this point or very close to it, I probably would have walked away.
Interesting.
I think I needed the space mentally to be able to find like myself again, so to speak, and to find that passion for training again. And I did that initially it was through rock climbing. A bouldering gym around the corner opened, and I like got to a point where I was climbing 5 or 6 days a week. Like I found something I fucking loved again. It had elements that I loved about lifting, which was the technical perfection aspect of it, the puzzle solving aspect of it. And the more important thing was it wasn't here. I left here and I went there to do it. And I think, interestingly, I then watched a lot of people through the lockdown process really struggle with training at home, because we emptied the gym. Everyone had equipment in their living rooms and stuff like that. And what people didn't recognize, which I recognized prior to that, was how much power there is in the drive to the gym. Like whether you recognize it or not, that however long that drive takes, whatever it is that you're doing in that drive is actually such an incredibly important part of how you get into the routine of training. And for everyone who was then training at home, they found that distinction really incredibly hard. And it didn't just happen in training, it happened with work and all those sort of things.
Sharing the same environment from so many different things just affected every different environment.
100%.
Or every different setting,
so then lockdown happened. I got into riding bikes because I needed to get out of the house, and turns out a 140 odd kilo powerlifter is pretty shit at the cardio end of things. I did a lot of riding, got pretty heavily into that, and that culminated last year in there's a trail that runs essentially a loop around Canberra. It's like 138 k's, and I rode that in a day. Took me like 13 hours.
Wow.
It was fucking brutal. But it was heaps of fun. Like I had a great time. I very much like with this and now the running thing, I really enjoy doing it by myself. Headphones in, listen to some music, or in that case, I listen to 2 whole audiobooks on my bike for 13 hours. I found that break from being here really beneficial. So I'm now training harder than I've trained in years in the gym, but I still get the most enjoyment out of the stuff I'm doing outside of it.
Are you the kind of person that goes all in on one thing to see if you like it.
Kinda
Because
sounds
I was just about to say, kind of 5 days a week of rock climbing and then a 130 odd kilometre bike ride. It's like, it just sounds like.
My girlfriend will tell you it's a 2-year cycle.
Okay.
I get into a thing and then I spend about 2 years getting fucking into a thing.
Yeah.
And I find something else.
Yeah.
So we did about 2 years of 2 years of climbing gym clothes. It was about 2 years of riding.
Yeah.
Now we're about 3.5, 4 months into running. So
Okay.
yeah, we'll see. But yes, I'm very much an all-in kind of person.
Yeah, we're very similar. Like we've just started getting into golf. I'm probably about 12 months ahead of Ben. And it was kind of the same thing. Like, just fell a little bit out of love with training. Needed something that wasn't work, because I feel like for us, when you step in the gym, you feel like you're working to a capacity, even if it's on yourself.
Yeah.
So then, it was just like, but it was like, as soon as we were shit at it, it's like, I need to fucking get better.
Yeah. My favorite thing in the world is finding things I suck at.
Yeah.
And getting really good at them.
Yeah, agreed.
And like, not even really good. Like,
just better than you were.
I was never a very good powerlifter. I was like a mediocre powerlifter. I've been a lifetime mediocre athlete, but I fucking love getting a little bit better at things.
Yeah, it's just the challenge.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
to overcome it. It's like,
exactly. So, and that's, essentially what's renewed my love of training has been, well, now it's all about like still being strong and being able to do those sort of things, which, as we've sort of talked about, have been a huge part of my identity for my entire life.
Yeah.
I've been big my whole life. I'm smaller now than I've been in at least a decade. And it's the physicality of things. Like, I enjoy doing shit with my body, and when I'm not, I'm fucking miserable.
Yeah, I think if you can substitute the challenge that you probably got from, like your instance, maybe like powerlifting, that challenge that you had, and it's like for us maybe in the gym, and it's like you can substitute that challenge for other things, and then you get that enjoyment factor, and it's balancing out things like business and being in the gym, working and facilitating things for others. It's like, that's when you can probably start to get that that hunger and that fire back in the belly to train and
that's it.
Go
and
do
like,
something else.
I have almost no desire to step on a powerlifting platform again. Like, I might at some point. At some point, if I get light enough, I'll probably compete, so I can compete in the hundreds, because then I'll have competed in 5 weight classes.
Yeah.
But it won't be like, I'm going to do a whole powerlifting prep. It'll be like, maybe I'll do that comp in 6 weeks and do that. But these days, even then, like, I don't need to hit it in a comp environment to feel like I've done it, because I've done enough of that. We did like a testing session here at the end of last year. I pulled an all-time equal PB in the deadlift, and that was just as good as it would have been if I'd done it on a platform. Like, I don't need that competition environment. I'm one of the most competitive people you'll ever meet. My girlfriend refuses to play board games with me anymore, because not only am I a terrible winner, I'm a terrible loser as well. And so for me, like, that's powerlifting was my competitive outlet after rugby. Yeah. And I think if I hadn't fallen into powerlifting in the same way, I would still be playing rugby, and then my body would be a lot more battered than it currently is. So for me, it's now just I've found competitive outlets that I don't need competition. Like,
you can set them for yourself.
I was going to ask that, like with powerlifting, it's something that we try and convey a lot. It's like powerlifting typically is competition against yourself more than the other people there on the weekend.
I've said it to a bunch of people. So I've probably earned somewhere in the vicinity of like 10 to 20 different medals at comps, right? I have 2. I've only kept 2. I've handed medals back. Because, like, especially competing equipped when I did, like, no one fucking else did it. Yeah. So I just turn up and, win a gold medal. I don't give a fuck about the gold medal. I don't want it. It doesn't mean anything to me. The 2 I have are the 2 nationals that I won where I actually beat people to win that. Yeah. For everything else, I'd done competition. Like, I'd been a team sports athlete my whole life. I've spent a lot of time winning. I've spent a lot of time losing, and I don't need either of those things in my life anymore. From that aspect, I got into powerlifting because I wanted to see how much better I could be. Yeah. And everything that came along the way was nice, right? Yeah, like, I've still got a couple of Australian records in GPC. Things like that are cool, but none of it means as much to me as the process I went through to get there and the satisfaction I got personally out of that.
Yeah, I think that's, as much as like today's not about powerlifting, but it's an important message for people that are interested in powerlifting, because that's the number one question you get. It's like, I'm not strong enough to compete. Yep. It's like, well...
So that's why we do the novice comps the way we do. So we don't weigh anyone in. Mm-hmm. So I tried to cut weight for my first novice, first powerlifting comp, and misinterpreted some advice about how if you're feeling thirsty, you can like chew on ice chips to quench your thirst. As I read that as I can just eat Zupa Dupas. So I ate like half a dozen Zupa Dupas and was like 2 kilos over what I thought I was going to end up weighing. Not because of the Zupa Dupas, because I'm an idiot. So yeah, we don't weigh people in. Consequently, we don't do weight classes.
Yeah.
We don't do prizes for like first, second, third. It's not winners in the same way. We have a best lifter award that I hand out to each of the 3 gender categories we offer. That is more about what we consider to be the representation of a consummate professional in a powerlifting context.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Were you nice to the spotters and loaders?
Yeah.
Did you say please and thank you when you put your attempts in? Were you just generally not a cunt? Because there are just enough of those in powerlifting already.
Yeah.
And because of that, our novice comps, the fucking vibe here is sick.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone loves it. They sell out regularly now. And we've now had, over the years, like we started running powerlifting in Canberra in 2014. At that point, there was like maybe 1 or 2 comps a year. Since then, we've averaged something like 6 to 8 comps a year.
Yeah.
I think we've had somewhere in the vicinity of 1,500 to 2,000 people across our platform since then. We basically built the sport in Canberra. The sport doesn't exist in Canberra without the work that we've done. And I've had hundreds and hundreds of conversations with people about like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. It's just fucking do it.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah.
And most of them never go beyond novice comps. And I am stoked for that.
Yeah.
Because they like once a year, twice a year, they come in, they test. The rest of the time they just spend training and having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, we run, we don't even call it a novice comp, it's called a lift off for us.
Yeah.
And it started from us with our egos, like, let's go test.
Yeah.
And we brought a few clients and made it a charity thing, and then we're like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
This community thing, especially we're in different gyms at the time.
Yeah.
Now we're all online, so it's like being able to
get everyone
in one place, run an event, and it's the same. It's like there's no winners, there's no announcements, there's no like the MC's like this is what they PB'd last time, like let's fucking go kind of thing. So yeah, and definitely it's like even the people that come in like I want to do powerlifting, it's like just train and do a lift off.
Yeah.
If you like it, then we'll talk about
100%.
belts and suits and like all the other shit that's got to go into it. Just make sure you like the environment first.
Yeah, man. And that's, so we do a 4-week course called Prepare to Powerlift, which is like a small group thing. It's like 3 sessions a week over 4 weeks, and it's the 4 weeks before a novice comp. We run it before every novice comp, and I work on the assumption that like, and I've tested up to 12 weeks. I've done like 6, I've done 8. 4 weeks is just enough time for you to be like, fuck, I'm really nervous about this.
Yeah.
Get a bit better. Like, you don't get any stronger in 4 weeks. And I tell everyone up front, like, you're not going to get any stronger in these 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You're just going to be better at doing what you're doing.
You're safer,
Yeah. Well, it's not even safer. I hate framing it as safety because then you just end up starting the fear conversation too early. I just say you get better at it, you'll feel more comfortable, we'll be sweet.
Yeah.
And then we throw you in the comp and you do your first comp. And we've had people like come in with, I think that was me. We've had people come in with like 0 lifting experience and do their first comp on 4 weeks notice.
Yeah.
I had a guy sign up as a member, who's still a member, like literally 7 days before a novice comp. He's like, I've been thinking about doing this. We're doing our like first in-person coaching session. He's like, yeah, I've been thinking about it. I'm like, man, we got a comp in a week. Do you want to just do it? He's like, yeah, well, fuck it, why not? And,
awesome, I love that.
And so we spent that 90-minute coaching session testing his openers. Like, all right, squat, bench, deadlift, cool. And then he competed, and now he fucking trains hard and loves it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very much a like dive in the deep end, do it quickly, because I've had this conversation with hundreds and hundreds of people now. The ones who say, I'll do it when I'm ready, I want to hit this first, never fucking do it.
Yeah. And like thankfully we did those for 3 years, I reckon. Yeah. I think I did 3 of those before I actually did a sanctioned meet.
Yeah.
And to be like, I was like, I need to finish in the top half.
Yeah.
And then I'll compete. And I like looking back at it now, I wish I'd have done both, like lift off and then competed. Because I would have competed over 6 years rather than 3 or 4.
Yeah.
It was like way more experience, way more exposure.
Yeah.
Meet way more people. Like,
and I like almost everything I have in terms of what I do as a career. What we've built exists because I jumped into powerlifting early. Yeah. Like I threw my hat in the ring for Pro Raw 1 and I got decimated by Gawain Johnston.
Yeah.
Because he was a fucking monster.
As most people have.
Yeah. But I threw my hat in the ring. I was like, fuck it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And, you know, I went to the first GPC Nationals in 2012. You know, I'm very much a dive in and see what happens kind of guy. And so consequently, we've got a bunch of people that just love, like I said, competing at novice comps and doing that once or twice a year. Yeah. Then we've got a handful of people that compete seriously and are pushing for nationals and those sort of things. And then we've got a bunch of people who just don't give a fuck about powerlifting and just want to be strong and fit and healthy. And
that's a good way of setting the culture, like when you think that way. Like you're ready to just go, you can do whatever at any time.
Yeah.
And then set the parameters to, or set the standard, or give them the yardstick. That's what we say as well. It's like, just get in there and do it, so you know what the yardstick is for next time. And it's like, that's going to create so much more hunger for them for their training, because they know that this is where they were. And then it's like, even in the gym, they'll probably exceed what they did last time, and then they just want more and more. And I think from a culture as a gym, you'd want to set that amongst your members anyway, because you want to be that gym that's like, you fucking come here and you get the result that you came there for. You know. So I think that's a fucking wicked idea.
And it instills that intrapersonal competition too. Well, now I've hit 300. Next time I want to hit 320, 350, whatever it is. And it takes that idea away from what others are doing, and you show up better when you train, and you eat better, and you sleep better, and your quality of life. And it's like, we talk about all the wins that you get from training. That's what builds confidence when we talk about, like, it's more than the gym. It's like, that's what builds confidence in life. It's like having those W columns looking so flush at the end of every week.
I'm the person I am because I picked up a barbell at 14 and fucking loved it.
Yeah.
You know, like, and for me, that's why strength is in the name of my gym, because for me, like, strength has always been the fundamental physical, mental, emotional characteristic that upon which character is developed, right? Like, without that, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And that's why powerlifting's so cool for people who walk in being like, I just want to be like strong, fit, and healthy.
Yeah.
You know, cool, but like, what the fuck does that actually mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you have any parameters for how we're going to measure that? If it's like, hey, I want to be able to chase my kids, cool. Like, for me, my only motivation in training for, I reckon, at least the next 15 years is to make sure my 4-year-old son never beats me in sport. I joke about that, but I am genuinely the most competitive person you'll ever meet, and that little fucker's going to earn his wins. So for me, my training looks a lot different than it did. But for a lot of people, they come in like feeling a bit lost. They've had some experience in the gym, never really got the results they wanted because they didn't have anything to go towards. Right? They're not moving forwards into something. And so powerlifting's great because it's so accessible. If you've ever walked into a gym before, somewhere in the world, you've probably done some variation of a squat, a bench, and a deadlift. And you can find a barbell in every gym in the world. Especially now. Like, it wasn't the same when I started training, but it is now. Barbells are ubiquitous in a way that, like, in many cases, they probably shouldn't be. Like, they're not always the best tool for the job. But it's so accessible that we've had people, like, I think our oldest competitor was like, did her first powerlifting meet like 72.
Yeah, that's sick.
We've had like an 85-year-old guy compete. We've had down to like, 13, 14-year-olds. Like, it's genuinely one of the most accessible sports in the world. And it gives people who have never been athletic, or in many cases haven't been athletic for a very, very long time, that, like you said, that hunger again, right? Like that drive to be better and to make the right decisions to move towards what they want to move towards.
I think it introduces a long form projection thought as well. Like, it takes a long time to be really good at it. Like you said, it's a low barrier of entry, but it takes a long time to reach what you're capable of. So it's not another 6, 8, 12-week challenge. It's a constant pursuit. It's like, to draw the parallels to life thing again. It's like you're looking at something really long term that you can quantify, that you can measure, that you can win, that you can lose. Like, there's so many different layers to it. That's instead of just like another Health Club 8-week challenge.
And man, my like the way our membership works here, everyone does like an initial month where we do some like one-on-one coaching stuff and sort of develop that rapport and build all of those skills. And I always say to people, like, I don't give a shit where you are in 4 weeks. I don't care where you are in 6 months. I care where you are in 5 years. Because that, for me, is the difference. Is like, we've had people who've been here since the start. And they, like everything, have gone through ups and downs the whole way through, because that's life and that's how it works. But everything I do in my coaching process is about setting you up for long-term success.
Forming that foundation is just so important.
So I'm curious, we're 32-ish. Give Jace.
I'm the oldest person
Give
here. By the
Jason
fucking
love.
sound of it.
If it helps, my partner's like 10 years older than me, so all of my friends are in their early 40s, and I am regularly teased as the young one.
I can't wait to be teased as the young one.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm also
Never, because you'll be around me forever.
I'm also conveniently the oldest person in the group. Like, I'm notorious for being the grumpy old man. So that works out too.
So you've obviously got a little man.
Yes.
We just have dogs for now.
I have one of those too.
Yeah. So do you think we've kind of gone through this training thing too? For us, it was like business got busy. Like I did a prep, like you said. My garage was 3 steps from my desk.
Yeah.
And I fucking hated the whole thing.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal.
Every session sucked.
Yeah.
It was like I couldn't get to a place. It's like I still made the
You
meat.
never find the flow.
Yeah, but it wasn't like showing up with 5 other blokes that were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So is it just that we're 30 or like over 30 now that it's like, hey, let's go play golf or rock climb or like I'm running now as well?
I don't think it is.
Was it COVID or what happened?
So for me, it was the end of my powerlifting career. I did a meet in, I think it was 2018, and just like didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And felt kind of like I had to. And that was the big thing for me. It was when it got to a point where I felt like I had to, it wasn't worth it anymore. And so discovering bouldering it was an outlet physically that I could pursue that wasn't here where I worked. The mountain biking things stemmed out of necessity. Like I needed something physical or I was going to be a fat, miserable sack of shit after that first lockdown.
Yeah.
Because it's 3 o'clock, my kid's still at daycare, I'll just like open a beer and it's like suddenly I've had 3 beers every night for a week. It's I'm like, I just can't live like that. I'm miserable all the time. And I really like being outside. So it was that. I disagree with the idea that it's like just because you're over 30. I had this conversation with a couple of my schoolmates recently. Like I've got a close-knit group of guys that I went to school with, and we're in the car and like complaining about being over 30. Like, knees hurt, like this sort of thing. It's like, cunts, I am in the best shape of my life. Yeah. Like I am genuinely, I haven't been this fit in over a decade. Like I don't think I've ever been this fit. Ever. Even when I was playing rugby, I'm lighter than I've been in a decade. I'm happier than I've been in a long time. Like you chose this. Like your body's falling apart because you let it. Yeah. And for me, training's always been it's the thing I go back to. Like when I'm miserable, I go back to training, and I fell away from it because I think I was so set in training is this. Like training is powerlifting because it was for like the better part of 10 years. And so it was in finding other activities I found not only a better understanding of myself physically, but I got a better appreciation and understanding for training in general because I suddenly had so many different lenses to look at things through. And for me, like I'm now old enough and mature enough to know that like doing something physical is going to be a part of my life till I die. Yeah. Because if I don't, I'm miserable. Yeah. And I just found a different outlet, and it was about 18 months into the riding thing. I was like riding along one day. I was like, I should probably do some running at some point. Like, and I, like I said to you before we started recording, I, for like several years, preached that I had quit running. Like the day I stopped playing rugby, I quit running forever. Yeah. And I like proudly said that to people. Yeah. I was the pinnacle of anything over 3's cardio for a long time. Like at my heaviest, I was 145 kilo mess. Yeah. I could squat real heavy. Yeah. And that was great, and I fucking loved it. But I felt like shit doing everything else. And so I think past John probably looks at what I'm doing now and has some things to say about it. But it was that realization for me, especially having a kid, I think that played a big role in. Like, I joke about not wanting him to win sport, right? Like that's the funny line on the front end of it. Yeah. The more serious undertone is I never want my body to limit his experience. Yeah. Yeah. So if he goes, fuck, I want to climb this mountain. Fuck yeah, let's go climb that mountain. Yeah. I want to ride my bike. Cool, let's ride your bike.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like because being physically active has been a part of my life forever. And like I grew up fat. Like there's a photo of me at like 11 that like genuinely nearly brought tears to my eyes, like looking at who I was as a kid and recognizing how significant that experience was growing up. Like I went to an all-boys school and I was just good enough at sport to not be a complete outcast, but never good enough to be in the cool group.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, fringe first grade player my whole life, that sort of thing. Like I've always been just good enough because I know I've like learned how to get better at things. But pursuing performance physically became the armor that protected me from the shit that you cop as a fat kid in an all-boys school.
Yeah.
I've developed a pretty thick armor for that shit.
Boys are savage.
Yeah, well, and consequently, like, I am a king of self-deprecation.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
That was always my, like, that was the defense mechanism.
Yeah,
but I also, you know, like, the greatest lesson my mum's ever taught me was that you shouldn't laugh at anyone else unless you can laugh at yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm the first one to make jokes about it. And now I lean into it. Now I'm like, I'm totally okay with being who I am. And I think I've said this a bit recently, like, every year I get older, I feel like I'm more me than I was in the year before that.
Yeah.
Because I'm essentially just more comfortable being who I am.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've increasingly, like, I've got both the experience to have confidence in who I am, but I've also built what I've built. And, like, it's really easy, especially in this context and in the last couple of years, to forget that.
Yeah.
And, like, walking into this place with no equipment in it was fucking depressing. And during those lockdowns, I genuinely very, very seriously considered just being like, fuck it, I'm done, I'm walking away.
Yeah.
The thing that stopped me was I have no fucking no idea what else I would do.
Yeah.
Like, I have no concept of
Yeah.
what I would do. The concept of sitting behind a desk makes me want to shoot myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I say that, but I sit behind a desk for most of my fucking day. But like the
a
concept
desk that's not in a gym, at least.
Yeah. Well, just going into an office environment, and especially having owned my own business now for a while, I would be the shittest employee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I have a complete lack of ability to do things that I think are dumb.
Yeah.
And so it would very quickly turn into me telling someone to get fucked.
Yeah. There's power in not having a plan B though. Like we always talk about like, oh yeah, I'd like get into finance and I do this, and it's like, would I? Like I don't have a plan B either. Like this is it. It's like there's no other like, you know, fucking got this safe net, this my dad's business, I'll go do that. It's like I think that's part of the reason like you're here.
100%.
Like we're here. It's like there's no other
I
option
can list
to like
4 or 5 gyms in Canberra that failed and are now, well, not failed. Failed's the wrong word because I don't know that they failed.
Yeah.
But they closed.
They're not here anymore. Yeah.
Because the person at the head of it had a plan B.
Yeah.
My gym only exists, and as far as I'm concerned, if you can get your small business through the last 2 years, you're probably good.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Like it's probably, hopefully, fucking fingers crossed, it's not going to be that bad again.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, not only did you have lockdowns, you had bushfires and
So like I was saying before, December 2019, January 2019, there was those crazy fires. Canberra was basically blanketed in smoke for like 2 months or something. Because we're like up high and in a valley, so the smoke would just come over and settle overnight. And it was fucked. It was like an apocalypse. And then we probably closed for a total of like 14 or 15 days over that period because the smoke inside was just too bad. I couldn't in good conscience let people in to train. Just after that finished, we got like what felt like an eternity of reprieve, and then lockdown 1 happened. We reopened. It's like a couple of months after we reopened, someone's delivery van drove into our front door.
Oh wow!
They didn't like that. There's a big hill out there, right? And they didn't engage the handbrake properly and just fucking smashed through the front door. So that was a weird one. And then in that period we had 2 dogs die within 6 weeks of each other. Just got back into the swing of things. Got locked down again. It's been a brutal fucking couple of years. But it was genuinely the realization of like, what the fuck else would I do? I don't have anything else that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Like, and the concept of doing a job, like working 9 to 5 and hating it, makes me want to vomit.
Yeah.
Because I would just be a miserable sack of shit.
Yep. So when you said earlier, like, those 2 years were what made you still be here. Is that why? It was like you had to step back and actually think, like, what else would I do? Nothing.
It was definitely, that was an element of it. It was the finding the passion for training again, like, and getting fit. Like, that second lockdown, I think was the savior. Like, because I was like, oh, fuck, we're getting locked down. Like, it was Thursday lunchtime. I got a text message from my mum. It was like, they're about to announce a lockdown. They announced the lockdown like 5 p.m. that night. I sent an email to everyone, was like, here's a Google form. Tell me what equipment you need.
Yep.
I'll sort it out tomorrow. And I went home and got shit-faced.
Yeah.
Like, it was like 1 o'clock. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Went home. I drank like 8 beers and got slaughtered.
Yeah.
And then spent 12 hours on Friday driving around solo, loading equipment into my car and delivering it to people and shit like that. And then I went through, did some programming stuff first few days, and then I was like fucking horrifically depressed for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, just couldn't do anything. The only thing I could do was go riding.
Yeah.
Because it was like, put my headphones in, go for a ride. That would clear my head enough to not be just a cunt to be around. Yeah. And when you got a kid at home who doesn't understand what's going on, you can't be a cunt.
Yeah.
Because what you get back is cunt. They are a reflection of who you are as a person and what you present. And so I think it was that, and then realizing that was the thing that made me happy, pushing hard into that to the point where, again, I was riding 5 or 6 days a week, 100 plus Ks a week. And then I was like fit again. Suddenly I was like, I remember the day I saw under 125 on the scales for the first time in a decade. And like, I never made a conscious decision to lose weight. I'd always talked about it. It was only it was a byproduct of enjoying riding bikes. So I found a way to enjoy working hard again. Yeah. Accidentally lost the better part of 10 kilos over like a year and a half. And then within about a month and a half, had lost another 4 and saw under 120 for the first time in literally over a decade. Like, I looked it up on Open Powerlifting. The last time I weighed 120 was like 2012.
Yeah, shit.
And that was like one of my first powerlifting comps. So I think me being physically and mentally in a better place gave me the space to push hard again from a business standpoint. Yeah. And I think if I hadn't had that lockdown, I would have continued into a spiral of misery. Yeah. In a way that would have ended up with this place closing because I was just fucking miserable.
Yeah, it's so interesting just to look how many people have gone in different directions after lockdown. Yeah. Like, we were both enormous during lockdown because we had nothing else to do.
Oh, our second one.
Yeah. But we were both we used to meet, so we had a 5K radius, like, lock in.
Things were really tight.
Yeah, we overlapped.
Melbourne was fucked.
We overlapped so we used to meet like 3 days a week and just walk. Yeah. And that was like our only outdoor activity. Yeah. And I don't think it's a coincidence that you've ended up into golf. I'm going to become a fridge who runs 100 meters. Like, we've started to find stuff outside of the gym. It's a curious, and that's why I asked, like, is it just we're at that age now and like balls to the wall training for a comp or something like that just isn't really fulfilling the way that it used to be, and there's different motivations behind training? Or is it the lockdown, or is it probably a combination of both?
I think we had to choose as well. I think we had to decide, because before, like, we were probably just so narrowed in on one thing. Like, I was just so narrowed in, like, being massive and strong. Yeah. But then, because we had to think afterwards, because that got taken away, or it just wasn't cool. Like, walking to your garage, you're like, fuck, I'm going to sit in here for 3 hours.
By myself.
And it was like, oh, what else could be fun? Yeah. You know, that could fulfill the things that we get from training. Because obviously we train for a reason. And it's like, if I can find what value that it sits under, I can maybe look for something else at that time. Because it was fucking tough, man, for us, like, sitting there just like only allowed out for 2 hours a day, only allowed to go 5 kilometers from your house, not being able to work the way in the capacity that we wanted. Yeah. And it's like, what can I do to remotely fill that void right now? You know, I think that's what maybe some people had to gravitate towards.
Yeah. And I know, like, pushing through that for myself and competing and getting to I peaked at like 99 kilos, I think. And like, when I started in the gym, I was 21 and 58 kilos. Yeah. So it was like way too heavy for what I should be. And because we could only go outside for 2 hours a day, like, I was doing 3,000-4,000 steps a day. It was like, health was not a thing. And I had a similar experience once we got out. I was like, caught up with niece and nephews and was like, bought them presents for like Christmas or whatever it was. It's like, I got to get down on that floor and engage with you and do this. And it's like, that's really, really hard and I don't want to. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's a problem.
And while my girlfriend was pregnant, I made a deliberate decision to like eat dinner sitting on the floor, like
Yeah.
watch TV sitting on the floor. Because like before I started working for PTC, I worked in childcare. I worked at a before and after school care where my best friend's still one of the assistant directors, and I just got paid to play with kids.
Yeah.
Like I'm a giant child at heart.
Yeah.
And so I had a fucking great time. Like I loved that job. It was heaps of fun. And it was that realization. It was like, fuck, I need to be better at sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to spend a lot of time sitting at the floor. And, like to go back a little bit to the point about the like identity aspect of it, like I identified as a powerlifter for a long time. I lent into that as a thing. And then there was a period of time where I spent a lot of time talking about like it not being an identity, because I've now been in powerlifting long enough to have seen the peak of powerlifting. Like powerlifting the landscape in powerlifting in Australia is so different to what it was when I did my first comp in like 2010. And I've seen multiple generations of lifters get really good for 2 years and then disappear.
Yeah.
I could name like 15 or 20 people off the top of my head who like the next big thing don't compete anymore. Yeah. Because it became their whole thing. And I think for me, I was lucky that my girlfriend and all of my close friends, none of them train. None of them lift weights. None of them are remotely interested in any aspect other than the fact that I enjoy it. Yeah. And like a bunch of my close friends have come and like watch me compete, like that sort of thing, but none of them do it. And for me, that has meant I've always had an aspect of my personality that exists, or my character that exists outside of the world. And so I think that's part of the thing that's let me get to the point that I am, because even now, like I distinctly remember when I changed my Instagram handle, it used to be Sherro _ Burley Strength. Yeah. I remember sitting there at one point and just being like, what are the chances anyone has ever read my Instagram handle and been like, oh, Burley Strength, I'll look into that. Yeah. What I recognized was like Burley Strength is me. This is an extension of who I am as a person. The business values reflect my personal values, because that's how I want to run my business. I don't want to be I sit on the middle of everything because it's best for business. Yeah. I run a very firm no dickheads policy for a reason. And it's that like value system that perpetuates the rest of my life, but it's only an aspect of my life. Like it's a huge aspect. I'm here 6 days a week. I own my own business. I never fucking stop thinking about it. But like I'm also going to a bush stuff next weekend. I'm gonna dance my face off and forget about it for 4 days. And I am into other aspects of life that aren't just lifting weights, because I recognize there's more to life than lifting weights. Yeah. Matt Vincent, the Hate Brand Goods guy, I'm wearing his shorts right now.
Got the drink bottle as well.
I lent into his thing for a while. The idea of like self-improvement through self-loathing really resonates deeply with me. He's like Highland Games athlete. He has this great quote about if your total's going on your tombstone, we probably don't have a lot in common. Yeah. And it's like, it's like, fuck. Yeah. Powerlifting's cool. It's been a huge part of my life and will be for a long time, because we very much dominate powerlifting as a sport in Canberra, and we will for a long time, but it's not who I am. Yeah. And that's why my Instagram handle's now just Sherro, because I'm just Sherro, and Burley Strength is an aspect of what I am, and I'm a father and a partner, and the guy's weirdly into running for a fat guy, and those sort of things. So I think having been through the period of like my core development as a person, like in my late teens and early 20s as a guy playing sport, training, it was a huge part of my identity. And I think it's only through maturity have I gotten to a point where I've been able to move past that, taking up the majority of that. And so now I preach to everyone, like, training's cool, and like be into it and fuck take it seriously. But like I'm kind of also in on the joke that like none of this really exists. Like it's all just fake anyway. Yeah. And it only exists because we all live such incredibly physically easy lives that a bunch of people have to pay me to come and do fake work.
We've talked about that a lot. Like it's not war. It's not. Yeah.
Dude, I fucking hate.
You have to wake up and choose violence.
Yeah. It's like you're walking in lifting a equally loaded balanced barbell in a controlled environment, probably in most cases nowadays under air conditioning. Like just
and
relax,
also,
bro.
no one gives a fuck about it.
Yeah.
No one really cares. And so for me, like I like playing both sides of this coin. Like this is my passion, my craft, my career.
Yeah.
But I'm super in on the joke that it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like it's all just fake. And I joke to my girlfriend all the time about like not having a real job.
Yeah.
She used to get up in arms about it, like, oh, you don't take yourself seriously enough. I'm like, I do. I am passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about being better at what I do. But I also recognize that it's just a bit shit. Like it's like it's dumb that we have to teach you to do these things.
Yeah.
And like you have to come and pay me to do this. Like it's just a bit weird.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter.
We talk about that too. Like
my wife thinks I don't have a real job.
Yeah. It's the other way around.
Dude, my favorite thing in the world is being like, I'm going to do a podcast. She's like, that's not fucking work.
Yeah.
It is.
We do the always the bunny ears when we say like, I've got to work. It's like, really? Like,
man, the thing for me that makes me realize I'm doing the right thing with my life is that, like, if tomorrow I won enough money that I never had to think about money again, I'd still turn up on Monday.
Yeah. That's a good sign.
I'd spend a bunch of money on new equipment.
It'd alter things, but you'd still show up.
I've always joked about, like, I'd just buy this whole block and, like, put an indoor pool in and turn it into a proper place. But I'd still be here. Yeah. I'd still be doing the things I'm doing because I'd be fucking miserable if I wasn't.
Yeah, I had a discussion during the week on another podcast that was like the idea of we went to a seminar. Is the best story. I won't say who it was. We went to a seminar from a well-respected bodybuilder who we grew up like as lifters following, who was just a demon. Like in the gym was just like biting machines and growling and barking, and you're just like, Jesus, there's demons in there, and you're expressing them. Like it's not therapy, but it's therapeutic. Like that was him. And then we saw him, and now same thing. He's got 2 kids that are like a bit older and stuff. And it was like now he does like meditative breathing between sets and up in the morning and stuff. And I'm like,
met him, been to a seminar.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
It's like, did that get you where you are though? Yeah. And that's and like I think what's important because being 30 in the fitness industry is like you're a dinosaur because most people bounce when they're 25. Yeah. So it's like, it's not about not doing it. It's about, and what we try and teach, we talk about values a lot. So what are the core values that you have? And then how do you express them in a day-to-day life? Through work, because we're business coaches and trainers, and through your lifting. So what about being a powerlifter facilitates your core values? So it's not, the powerlift is not the thing. It's the core values that you have. So like whether it's growth and learning, work ethic, whatever, like challenge, competition, whatever is important to you, identify that that's how you express it, and you express like that right now. And you don't have to express it like that forever. You're not. And we used to say like, I do powerlifting. I'm not a powerlifter. And I think that's, if you're listening to this now and like, oh, these fucking old dudes, like they're past it, they just don't want to work hard anymore. It's like, it's just about understanding there's more. And there's
there's more to life than lifting weights.
Yeah.
Because trust me, I got to a point where like the only thing in life was lifting weights. Life sucked a bit.
You still work hard. It's just when you find, when things line up, that's when you work hard, but it doesn't feel hard. It's like you're really productive and you get a lot of things done, but it doesn't necessarily feel hard. So because you fucking love it.
Exactly. There are a lot of things about owning a business that I don't like. Like the fact that it never really shuts off is for me, it's like it's both a positive and a negative, right? Like end of last year, people were like, oh, you like having a holiday? I'm like, holiday's the wrong word. I am actively avoiding working for like 7 days. Like I'm not checking my email. I'm deliberately not replying to messages. And I know for a fact it's about day 6 where my brain starts going. I'm like, all right, cool. It's long enough. I've had enough time. Like next weekend, I'm going to leave on Friday. I'm going to come back on Monday, and I'm not going to look at my phone for 4 days, and it's going to be great. And I'm going to be in a position to come back refreshed and ready to go again. But it never stops. Like I never stop thinking about it because this is just the thing that I think about. It's that thing that I do, and I love it, and I love trying to figure things out and get better at it. So for me, it's like it's a no-brainer at this point.
So important to have that ability to switch off, like or to avoid, to go away for the weekend,
and it's hard. Like
and
having a kid has really changed my perspective on that.
Yeah.
Because you can't half-ass hanging out with your kid.
Yeah, doubt.
Well, you can. You just fucking whack the TV on. Life's good. But
yeah, that's got consequences though somewhere, doesn't it?
It does, but it's also a fucking effective tool. You know, shut that kid up and just give him an iPad and do what you need to do. But it's realizing that I need a way to be able to shut down what I'm doing and move to the next thing.
Yeah.
That has meant I've been better at putting boundaries around work instead of like, this is my work time and I'm not working outside of those times and things like that. But, you know, like if I was a single guy that didn't have a family, my life would look different. I'd probably fucking live in that room and I would just work all the time.
Yeah.
But like I got 5 nights to myself last weekend. My girlfriend and my son went to Melbourne to visit her parents. I haven't had 5 nights by myself in over a decade. Like I took a day off, hung out, maybe did some things that I don't want to talk about on a podcast, but well, it depends. That's more about your podcast than it is mine. I'm happy to talk about it.
There is no limits.
So I took a day off, took some acid, lay on my bed, listen to music. It was great. But then, like, I worked the other 4 days.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't work for a lot. I didn't work all day, but I came in and did some work because it's like, well, what the fuck else am I going to do with my life? That's just the thing. I'm like, well, it's like I've got to do it, so I might as well just do it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that recognition that if money wasn't an object, what I do wouldn't change. It would just look fancier.
Yeah. We just have a really nice gym.
Yeah.
And look, I'm already pretty happy with the gym I've got.
We don't have one yet, so it's like that's if the money lands in the hand, it's like build it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Just after we finish recording for this, I'm driving to Goldman to pick up equipment I bought on an auction last night. So
awesome.
I just end up collecting toys.
That's also we would adopt that hobby, or I would adopt that hobby.
Yeah,
sorting out equipment.
The funny story I have about that was when we bought the cable setup. Said to my girlfriend at the time, like, I'm really happy with it. Like, I feel like it filled a hole. Like, we didn't have something like that for a while, and I'm really happy with that. Maybe I won't buy any equipment for a while. Like, maybe I'll open an internet browser next week and see something on sale and just buy it because I want it. She turned around and was like, can you just, like, not fucking buy equipment just because you want it? And I was like, hey. That is literally the only thing I've been doing for 7 years.
Yeah.
is buying equipment that I want. And then making other people pay me to use it.
Yeah. We were having a discussion.
Influencing them to like it.
Yeah.
In the car on the way up yesterday. Though. So we, long story, but basically went through a process over 2.5 years of trying to open a gym through COVID and council and shit.
Yeah.
Just like push the abort button. We'll talk about it next year.
Walk away.
Yeah. But we were sort of like, we had the list of like, all right, everything's going to come from this place, and it's going to. Now we're like, no, let's get that one made, and let's get this one, and let's make the thing that we want to live in.
Buy the things you like. Buy the things that you want
100%.
And you value. Yeah.
And that's because that's how you then sell it with authenticity.
Yeah, I don't want to.
If you don't believe in it, then no one's going to believe.
That's
in
it. I don't want to walk in somewhere and I know you wouldn't want to walk into this place and just be like, oh, this is what we just got for the sake of getting it.
Yeah.
Like you want to know that everything in here is like serves a purpose, is the best.
Yeah.
You know, the people that are going to use it are going to, get good outcomes from it. And like that's what we want to shift to now when we open things up, because it just people can feel that shit.
Yeah. 100%, man. And it's like my favorite part about owning a business is being able to tell people that we're not the right business for you.
Yeah.
I had a discussion with someone the other day. It was like, I want like twice a week PT. I'm like, that's not really how I do things. Like, I do coaching into like programming and that sort of thing. And we do feedback, but I don't want to coach you twice a week for the foreseeable future. I'd rather shoot myself in the face.
Yeah.
That's just
we've done it enough.
That's just not how I do things.
That's it.
My whole thing is built on my training or my coaching philosophy from day one has been make myself redundant.
Yeah.
Teach you everything I know so you don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, I've had people here who've been here long enough that I've moved from, for lack of a better term, dictator, like here's what to do it, into coach, let's work together, into consultant.
Yeah.
Like, okay, bounce your ideas off me, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And that, I fucking love that as an evolution because I've got to watch this person evolve into who they are. It's helped me clarify my own thinking in having these discussions and those sort of things. But like the fitness industry is ripe with people talking about empowerment who don't understand empowerment.
Yeah.
Because empowerment is not I'm here to blow smoke up your ass and tell you you're amazing all the time, but you can't function without me.
Yeah.
That's not fucking empowerment.
Yeah.
And like, we had that
It's
happen
the
at
exact opposite, creating dependency.
There was a person in Canberra who I will do my best to describe broadly, who brought a group of people to one of our novice comps, and this group of people turned up before the coach got there and like couldn't do anything until the coach arrived. Like couldn't come and get their pin heights sorted. And we were like, just fucking come and start the process. We'll help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, we have to wait. Like, and this particular person preached on empowerment as like one of their big things, right?
Yeah.
It's like, that's not fucking empowerment.
Yeah.
That is dependency.
Yeah.
And you have done it poorly.
Yeah.
Like the concept of coaching someone for the rest of my life, like one person, like that person, makes me sick.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't done my job if that's the case.
Yeah.
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 You know, and I think that has helped shape what this place has become.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten way more in touch with what I want and what I don't want, and what I think is good progress and what I think isn't.
Yeah. So what's a week? Because we talk a lot. Obviously, you're a business owner, mentioning coaching and stuff. So what does a week in your life actually look like? Like how much coaching do you do?
Yeah, so it varies depending on the week. So I'm here 3 mornings a week. I train Monday, Wednesday, Friday at like 6-ish. I'm sort of home by 8:30. So I can do the like hang out with the kid, take him to school, that sort of thing. The gym's officially open from the afternoon. So in any given week, I'm doing like a handful of like initial coaching sessions, one-on-one stuff, things like that.
Yeah.
But predominantly the business model is like programming and coaching side of things included in with the membership. So everyone's got a program, things like that. So I do less of the like one-on-one session stuff and more of the like hang out and just talk to shit. And
it's just you coaching here?
At the moment, yeah. So I've had a couple of coaches at various points. I think as a business owner, I wasn't in a position to take advantage of having a second body. Yeah. We are very much in a position where I'm the rate limiter on business growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I am particular about what I want out of a coach. Like the big thing for me is the concept of renting space to a PT also makes me want to vomit. Yeah. Because I think it's the biggest rort in the fitness industry. And now as a business owner, I recognize that most coaches probably shouldn't be business owners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've never had PTs that have rented space out of Burley. It's if I have another coach here, I'm employing that coach. Yeah. And my long-term plan is to be in a position where I have a group of coaches that work for me, and I am the coach's coach and that sort of thing, and I run the business and do that side of things. I talked a lot at the end of 2019 about feeling like I just finished an apprenticeship. And like I was ready to sort of build out that process for like how I'm going to teach people, because I don't necessarily want someone with a lot of experience to come in and not be a part of the system that I have created. Yeah. And so that was my plan for 2020, was like spend 2020 developing that. And I didn't. But I'm much closer now to being in that. I think probably by the end of the year I'll be able to run like essentially like an in-person internship sort of thing that we can develop people through, because that's the goal. So I do less of the like in-person stuff. That like the concept of group coaching makes me want to kneecap myself and spend all my life on a couch. So now it's more about helping people find their own ability and unlock that confidence to be able to do it without me.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like we work with mostly fitness trainers, like in the like big box gyms and stuff. And one thing that's starting to become a bit of a trend, it's a similar idea. So you come in and you work with me for 12 weeks, and then you become an online client. Yeah, and it's like obviously a great business model as well, but when you talk about that empowerment, make yourself redundant, it's like that person needs to be able to show up and train without you within 12 weeks. I think that's a really cool thing that people undervalue too. Like we talk about all the time, like it's underutilized from both a business perspective, but also because like if you had to train every single person that was here, like you talk about rate limiting, that's huge. And
I've seen it in like in physios. Like, oh, just come back and see me like every 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
Like, I've stopped sending people to physios who've done that.
Yeah, it's a big red flag.
Yeah, and for me, coaching's the same. Like, there should be a mapped out evolutionary process that gets you to a point where, and like where you fall on that line is entirely up to you.
Yeah.
If you don't want to get to the level of knowledge that is, I consult
Autonomy.
with you.
Yeah.
If you don't want full autonomy, sick.
Yeah.
But at the very least, you got to be able to follow a program, make your own decisions, adjust on the fly, those sort of things.
Even excuse me, just come to you and say, I'm thinking about doing this.
Yeah.
And you just say, it's a great idea.
Yeah,
Have you thought of this, maybe?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool.
And that's the point that I want most people to get to. So we've got 65 or so members, like in-person members, and I write programs for almost all of them. There's a handful I don't, but because programming's included in the membership, so the idea is they all start with some initial one-on-one coaching, which, like, from a coaching standpoint is great as an assessment tool, those sort of things.
Yeah.
But it's actually, from a business perspective, more about incorporating that person into the environment quickly.
Yeah.
Because you can come here and train and it feels a bit like you're an outcast for a while, but if you're here with me for 4 coaching sessions over 4 weeks, I'm going to hang some shit on the people that are over there, and you're going to get involved in the banter, and suddenly you're part of the community. Right?
It's a real good icebreaker.
100%. And so it serves both ends of the spectrum, but I frame it to everyone as like, this 4 weeks isn't about how strong can you get, it's about developing the habits, practicing those sort of things. And then it evolves from there, and it evolves at the rate that works for that person. Some people get through that pretty quickly and love it and want to be in a position to write their own programs. Some people just like being told what to do and like trying to get better and those sort of things. And I'm happy to meet everyone where they are and help them move to whatever the next stage looks like for them.
So we're seeing a really big trend of like community sizes shrinking and it becoming more and more important from a business perspective. So even like social media seems to be like Instagram, Facebook and stuff are on a downward spiral, whereas Discord is on a upward spiral because it's smaller community groups.
Yeah.
Have you ever sat back? It sounds like you've created community just because like your business is a representation of you and your values. Have you ever sat back and thought like how to facilitate community and why you've been so successful with that?
Yeah. So, I have 2 stories, and they both involve my girlfriend. First one is, early on in the process, I said multiple times, like, I had this, like, meet up with a person, maybe a potential new member, probably weren't the right fit, I'm probably not going to pursue it.
Yep.
My girlfriend would harass me about it, like, we need to make more money. And it wasn't until the first lockdown when people contacted me who had in the previous 6 months cancelled their membership and said, hey, I don't need anything from you, but how do I start paying you again?
Yeah.
And it was that and the realization that no one cancelled. Like, I think we had 1 or 2 people cancel their membership over the first lockdown. Everyone else paid through the whole thing. Whether they borrowed equipment or not, everyone paid.
Yeah.
It was at that point that my girlfriend was like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, she just never understood it until that happened, and she saw that outpouring of support and love. And she was like, okay, cool, you made the right choice.
Yeah.
But the other one was, again, early in the process, being at home, talking to my girlfriend and saying something like, again, had a meeting with this like potential new client, and a bit weird. And like, I have a vivid fucking memory of this. She was washing the dishes. I was talking to her back. She put it down, turned around and looked at me. I was like, you're all fucking weird. I was like, oh, yeah, we are. And so now it's the idea that weirdos are welcome, right? Like, I don't judge you by what you look like, what gender you identify as, your political I judge you as your political background because I have some strong views about things. But I run a really firm no dickheads policy. That's been a part of the business from day one. I thought long and hard when I redesigned our website in the last lockdown and rebuilt it from scratch and put no dickheads allowed on the front page.
Yeah.
Like a little spiel about like our gym's not like other things, blah, blah, blah. No dickheads allowed. And I had a couple of people, older people who've been members for a long time, express concern about that pushing people away.
Yeah.
And in the end, it was the realization that I've said that phrase to every single person who's ever inquired about membership in my gym.
Yeah.
I've said it aloud.
Yeah.
And if that has you pull back, you are not going to fit in here.
Yeah.
Because fuck is one of my favourite words.
Yeah.
And so you just won't be comfortable. And so for me, it's that thing that I said before about like feeling more like myself every year. Like I am more and more and more confident in what I do and what our community represents, so that I'm now in a position where I know exactly what I want. I don't need to go outside of that. I know that we're not a gym for everyone. And so what we have is this incredibly diverse group of weirdos.
Yeah.
And like I use the term weirdos really affectionately because ultimately like I lean into being weird. Like the older I get, the weirder I get. Like I'm a fucking 120 kilo dude. I've got gold paint on my toenails at the moment and a ridiculous mohawk. That like the idea of normal, like increasingly, I just like don't have any time for.
Yeah.
Because they're all just fucking weird. And so the thing for me that I love now is passion. Like I love people that are passionate about what they do. Yeah. I am a raging coffee snob. And so I am passionate about people that make good coffee. And I genuinely don't care what it is. I am just fascinated to talk to people who have a thing that makes the hairs on their arms stand up.
Yeah.
And so for some people, they find that in training. For others, it's like, oh, cool, we're going to talk about you playing Warhammer while you lift weights. Sick, let's do that.
Yeah. So Ben's uncle owns a tomato farm. Had him on the podcast, and like I know nothing about tomatoes, and I was like this.
Yeah.
Just like, tell me more, because he was just so fucking into it that it was like the most fascinating 60 minutes on how to grow tomatoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like when you love something so much, you can just get everyone's attention.
That's 100% it. And for some people, they'll find that in training and that'll be their thing.
Yeah.
Like and again, my girlfriend will tell you, like I get really fucking into things and it's just all consuming for a period of time. And so the more I can help people find that, the happier I am as a person. And like I said, if it's not training, cool, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like not everyone has to lift weights. I'm not the person that I used to be. It was like, oh, everyone should lift weights. Just find something you enjoy and do that. And I think if you can do that in the like fitness and health space, then you're far more likely to make a lot of progress and be good and get a lot out of it. But from a life standpoint, you're just going to enjoy it more. Yeah,
I think even just like in general, I've taken that philosophy to just conversation with people. Like I've gone from what do you do for work as a, really poor way of opening up small chat to just like what gets you out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's whatever the fuck you want it to be.
Yeah.
You tell me like what it is that launches you out of bed. It can be your kids. It can be your 2 dogs. It can be, I'm into fucking collecting stamps. And it's like, where like if you do the job thing as like a really poor way of engaging, it's like, what if you fucking hate it?
Especially in Canberra where everyone's a public servant.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a public servant.
Yeah,
cool. So's 98% of the rest.
On the drive here, you can pick them.
Yeah.
Well, you can also then pick the ex-military public servant.
Yeah.
They've got a very particular walk to them. But yeah, it's so when we do like workshops, so we do like a 1-day powerlifting workshop, I sit everyone down. I'm like, who are you? How long have you been training? What do you want to get out of today? And what do you do for fun that isn't lifting weights?
Yeah.
And we've had some fucking great answers that come out of that. And like, I like bantering with people about it because I'm into some weird shit. I could spend a long time smoking meats, like plenty of fucking Sundays standing in front of a barbecue cooking brisket and things like that. I've had these like quote unquote weird obsessions for a while. And so the more weird things that I find people that are into, the more excited I get about helping them. If the highlight of your day is you came and just like fucking talked at me about Warhammer for an hour, like I am stoked to have facilitated that.
Yeah.
Because you just walked away happy because you've had someone who isn't like, hey, that thing you're into is weird.
Weird, yeah.
Because like the things I'm into are fucking weird, man. Yeah. Like my parents still really don't understand what I do.
Oh yeah.
They like, and so it's that weirdness that I fucking love.
Yeah.
I am on board with being weird because life's too fucking short to be normal.
Yeah. Leaning into the things that you enjoy should be mandatory.
Yeah. But for so many people, it gets shut down.
It's not fair either. Like to think about to shit on someone's.
Well, I recognize like as a cis het white man who grew up in a like private school environment, I have had the ultimate privilege when it comes to being able to pursue things that I enjoy and that I'm passionate about. So recognizing that, I think, is really important. But then being able to like give permission for people to be excited about things that are not considered normal, and like what is normal anyway. And the concept of, you know, like you should love what you do, like for work, right? We are fortunate to be in a position where we get to do that. Most people aren't.
Yeah.
And so what you need is a job that you tolerate and something you fucking love.
Yeah,
outside
that's
of
it.
that.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, I couldn't imagine doing anything else anymore, but I still have elements to my personality that are not fitness.
Yeah.
And I still have things that excite me outside of the world of fitness.
Yeah.
And I think the more I can help people identify and pursue the things that excite them. Because otherwise, like the concept of getting to like 60 and being like, fuck, where did those 40 years go? Terrifies me.
Yeah.
I am constantly terrified. Not of dying. I think I've now probably taken enough acid to not be terrified of dying. But instead, it's the concept of getting to the end of my life and regretting not having done the shit I want to do.
Yeah.
And so the more I can help people have permission to do that, and like even if the person that's giving you the permission to do that is just some bloke that you're paying to teach you to lift weights, but that's the thing that means you then like train here for 6 months and you never come back. But what you've done is found this new avenue to pursuing something. Like, fuck yeah, I've done my job and I am happy.
Yeah. So to finish up, the PT who, like you said, not everyone comes into this industry expecting to run a business and all of a sudden it's thrust upon them. What advice would you give to the 22-year-old kid? Not, and I don't mean that disrespectfully as a kid, but like
in the industry
that's just walked in and gone, holy fuck, but they love fitness, they love people, training, and they want to make a go of it. What's your message?
I think it looks a lot different now than it did when I did. Like when I was 21 and got my first PT job. I'm not sure what my message is other than like just keep going.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty powerful in itself. That's not...
Well, and it's
it's
a message that has been solidified in my pursuit of endurance stuff. Is like, you know, the end of that 13-hour bike ride was like 138 Ks. If I'd really wanted to, I could have rounded up and done 150. Like I could have just done another loop of the you know, where I live and gotten that extra 12 Ks, but I didn't want to, so I was done. And for me, a lot of my physical pursuit before that had been like failure is a very binary thing. Like in powerlifting, you can do it or you can't.
Yeah.
And I've always been just, you know, like I'll just figure this out. I'll just keep going because I don't have any other choice, right? It's that not having a plan B thing. And so I think just keep going is the big one. Like my first 2 jobs in the industry, I got fired from because I didn't fit the mold, and it is heartbreaking as a 22-year-old. Like I cried. It still brings me to tears thinking about it, but it made me who I am as a person. And that the fear of failure and the realization that I don't fit in something that I fucking loved, and that has shaped me for who I am, and I'd loved for a long time, and I was just so incredibly passionate about helping people discover the thing that I loved, that it broke my fucking heart to be fired and like to essentially be told you don't fit in. This is not for you because you're not this.
Yeah.
To now be in a position where I am this and this is my thing is fucking sick.
Yeah.
And the only
on
thing...
your own terms too.
Man, and like I learned a lot in those years about what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't swap them for the world, despite them being brutal. And so I think if you can just take everything on the chin and keep putting one foot in front of the other, you'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's way more powerful than you probably think it is. That just keep going thing.
Yeah, well, it's hard, man. Because fuck, even over the last 2 years, it's been fucking hard, and I still question it every now and again. But yeah, that concept of just like, what else are you going to do? Keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep going, and something good will happen because it has to eventually.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we had a discussion. Jason's like, I don't really know much about Sherro. Like, what's the go? And I was like, he squatted over 400. He's known as the nicest guy in powerlifting. And was like, Oh, okay. Sounds like a good bloke. But I think you've lived up to it. So
Yeah,
thanks
definitely.
for being on. Thanks for having us
pleasure.
here.
Yeah,
I'm
awesome.
sad we can't stay and train.
Yeah,
It's fucking.
looks.
This is
wicked.
making me want to compete again. Like looking
Yeah,
around this place.
Should come down when there's a comp on. It's
Yeah,
better.
yeah. So before we finish up, where can everyone find you, the gym?
Yeah, so
Do the plug.
the gym's just Burley Strength, Burley Strength. If you're not from Canberra, you probably don't get the reference, but that's okay. That's the idea. So Burley is Walter Burley Griffin and his wife Marion designed Canberra. They won the design of the city. So it's Lake Burley Griffin's the big lake that'll be near where you guys are, the Savo.
Yep.
So when we named the place, it was like, I want something that says Canberra but doesn't scream Canberra. So
Yeah.
no one from Canberra gets it, but everyone in Canberra's like, oh, great, I like
Yeah.
it. So yeah, it's just at Burley Strength on Instagram and Facebook, predominantly Instagram because Facebook's a waste of time.
Yep.
And you can find me on Instagram as well, just Sherro, SHERRO, on Instagram. That's probably the best spot to get me and an assortment of highlights of my life.
Yep.
Occasionally it's me lifting weights. Occasionally it's me getting all pumped up dancing to techno at 6 a.m. because that's what I like.
And Peak Speak as well, right?
Yeah, and the Peak Speak podcast. So myself and Thomas Lilly, we've been doing that for years now. I think we're over 200,000 downloads and
Unreal.
150, 200 episodes somewhere in there. So go back and listen to us being really shit at hosting a podcast early on, getting better over the years. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Thanks, man.
Thanks
for having
guys.
me.
Cheers.
Bye.